Well, thank you, everyone. I think as evidenced by the fact there's like 200 people or so or more between the room and on Zoom or whatever we're using today, that there's notable enthusiasm and passion for this. I think that's pretty clear. I would say, and I'm trying not to sort of inflate this because I'm obviously very passionate about this, but I actually think that this is the number one sort of operational thing that is more important to quality and safety in hospitals than anything else. It ties it all together, and it ties the just culture together, right? With its human fallibility with accountability. That's what this is all about. So I want to just leave you where we sort of started with the why of this. We've talked a lot about the what, and actually a lot of the speakers have talked about the why as well, but I want to just end it with the why from my own sort of unique perspective. There's really three buckets that I think about this in terms of why. Clearly for patients, this is better, right? There's no, patients and families, there's no qualms about that. For organizations, this is also much better for safety. To add to another Lucian Leap quote to the day, I think it was Lucian Leap that said that the current malpractice system, he was talking about this 20 years ago, is the #1 impediment to patient safety. And there's no doubt to me that that's true. I think you probably told me that quote, Alan, right? Yeah, so absolutely. And so in terms of organizational safety, this is clear. But I want to end by talking about the impact on clinicians also, because we don't talk about that as much. I just want to make sure that that's mentioned. The reason that I'm standing here today being so passionate about this is because I had a horrible event that happened to a patient of mine when I was like 3 months out of residency. I vowed shortly after that I didn't want my experience, which was nobody talked to me, was told not to talk to anybody, obviously the whole sort of state at the time. And I vowed that I would never let that experience happen to anybody else. Can't say I've accomplished that yet, but that's what we're working towards. I wrote about my experience, and I just wanted to throw a thanks out to Linda for helping me to emotionally process it over time. I wrote about it and published an article called The Illusion of Perfection. If you want to look it up, great. But the point of that is just that I think it's bringing our own perspective into how we support clinicians. So I want to end with something. We had a case a couple of months ago of a 7-year-old with severe developmental delay who unfortunately passed away after being seen in urgent care for flu-like illness. The care in the end was perfectly reasonable. There was nothing about the care itself. It was just a really sad event. The parents actually weren't in a bad place. They actually had been going to this urgent care because they loved the clinician who took care of this patient. Like that's the only reason they went there. And so the parents also felt they were on borrowed time with this child who was not even expected probably to make it to that point. But that's neither here nor there. We still went through the process of meeting with the clinician in preparation to meet with the family. And so after meeting with the clinician, going through sort of how are we supporting you? How are we preparing you for this? I sent her my article, and I just wanted to read you her response because I think this is why we're doing this, right? This is why we're doing this. She said, I truly appreciate you and the organization's support. I too feel like everyone would think I was incompetent and not a good provider, like I just let everyone down. I think this article really hits the nail on the head with regards to how challenging being a healthcare provider can be and the standards we hold ourselves to. I'm grateful to be part of an organization that cares about families and their providers. I appreciate you sharing the article, although I think I've cried a bit too much today. And then she writes, because she was reflecting on my experience, I'm very, very sorry that you had to go through this. I'm sure it was terrible. I'm not sure who felt better after that, me or her, but that's why we're here. That is our mission, to build organizations that support our patients, support patient safety, and support our clinicians. Thank you everyone for being here today.